Hey, Wembley World Entertainment. And of course, as we know, Avengers Doomsday is on its way, and that it was the replacement for Avengers the Kang Dynasty, which was meant to be the first of the new Avenger movies, but of course, it all went belly up when Jonathan Majors decided to be found guilty over his issues and stuff. However, we now have a leaked script, or at least the leaked first draft of the script for what was meant to be the Kang Dynasty. Now, we're going to have a look at the article that talks about it. We're not actually going to have a look at the script itself because you have to actually download it from Reddit. Now, there's also indications of people trying to say, oh, this doesn't seem real and stuff. It very well may not be, but it also seems like a bit of a stretch to go to fake this crap because, like, number one, who was interested? Number two, the script is massive that you can read. Like, you download it and you get to flick through all the pages. There's over 160 odd pages. So it's kind of like, would you really be bothered to go through all of that trouble just to go, ooh, look, we have a script? Don't know. But either way, we'll have a look at it and you kind of get a hint of what you were going to possibly have seen in this movie. Now, of course, this article does try and kind of crap all over it, pretty much hinting that it's like, it's a bit of a stretch to say this was the movie and stuff, but they're obviously just trying to defend it. But we're going to have a look anyway. So, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige appears to be a huge Rick and Morty fan, perhaps explaining why he hired several of the show's writers for the multiverse saga. Should also be noted that it leaves out here, and they all failed. The animated series has always delivered a very clear, interesting take on the multiverse, so it makes sense that Jeff Loveness was tasked with working on Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania and Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. Michael Waldron, meanwhile, contributed to Loki before penning Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and Avengers: Secret Wars. However, the mixed response to their first MCU movies led to some big changes. Loveness and Waldron were subsequently dropped from their respective Avengers movies, and both have since been rewritten by Stephen McFeely. The Russo brothers will direct. So before we continue here, you see there that they're trying to say, oh, these guys did great and blah blah blah, and it made total sense why they were hired. And then you notice that it didn't say, but the movies outright failed and were a disaster for Marvel, that's why they got rid of them. No, they went, oh, the response is a bit mixed. No, they were financial and critically massive failures. So yeah, it was no wonder they got rid of them. Again, as well, you hired a bunch of comedy writers to write the MCU. Not a great plan, as Robert Downey Jr. likes to say in that clip, eh? So this says, these days, it's very easy to fake stuff like this with AI. So it says, we've long wondered what the plan for Avengers: The Kang Dynasty was before it became Avengers Doomsday, and an apparent script leak may answer those lingering questions. Now here's where they try and cope to try and cover for these guys to say like, oh no, this can't be their work because these guys were great. You'll see what I mean by right now, why it's saying, these days, it's very easy to fake stuff like this with AI, or simply because someone has far too much time on their hands. See what I mean? Talk about cope. However, it looks and sounds pretty genuine and lines up with a lot of what we've previously reported about plans for the movie. We'll leave it up to you to decide, but it makes for interesting reading regardless. Now, again, they're trying to make cope for this, but they're also kind of having to admit, look, this is probably genuine. But either way, they're trying to say, make up your own mind, where this probably is the case, that it is the script, or at least a draft of the script. So it's saying highlights include the MCU debut of Miles Morales, a reunion for Spider-Man No Way Home's 3 Spider-Men, another Deadpool and Wolverine team up, and a meaty role for Moon Knight. It appears much of the movie would have been devoted to exploring Kang's romance with Ravonna, whoever and whatever the hell Ravonna is. I might mispronounce that, but I've no idea who the hell that is or what it is. The villain's variants also came into play, and as expected, Kang the Conqueror was going to use the power of the Beyonders to create a new battle world. This does seem to only be a first draft, so who knows how much would have changed, or which ideas might have been scrapped during the build-up to shooting. Again, it's hard to say with any degree of certainty whether this is the real deal, but Loveness' ideas are far from terrible. In fact, this might have made for a solid movie, particularly with destined Daniel Cretton at the helm. The spotlight has instead shifted away from Kang for a multitude of reasons, including Jonathan Majors' legal issues, and we'll now see Earth's mightiest heroes assemble to do battle with Doctor Doom. Avengers Doomsday is set to be released in May of next year, with Secret Wars scheduled to arrive May of the following year. So you're hearing there, again, they do not touch on the fact that Quantum Mania and Doctor Strange's mom were disasters. And yes, Doctor Strange made up towards $900 million at the box office. And guess what? It still failed, because we know the budget for that movie was in fact $375 million. Then you're adding on at least 100, but possibly 150 million onto its marketing, which meant that thing needed to make over $1 billion to break even, and it didn't do it. So when they're trying to do everything in their power to avoid saying these guys screwed up big time and badly and cost the studio hundreds of millions of dollars, they're not doing that. They're just saying, oh, there's multitude of reasons why it fell apart. No, it fell apart because the guys that were in charge were a disaster. The entire phase 5, whatever goddamn phase it is, the whole multiverse saga has been a disaster. And the fact that this movie was even meant to be a hint of anything like this, yeah, what a disaster that would have been. Now, the Spider-Man things, that's still being indicated that be happening in at least Spider-Man 4. The Deadpool and Wolverine, we know they're showing up in Doomsday still anyway. Moon Knight, who knows? We know there's no more seasons of that. Even the showrunner confirmed that, but he could still show up, you don't know. The main thing is, these guys, all the Rick and Morty idiots, couldn't hack the MCU. And why would they? You write a funny cartoon, you're being asked to write the multiverse for Marvel. Yeah, not exactly the best idea there, was it? And what happened when they did it? It all fell apart and went to shit. And now this entire thing has to pivot. And this article is trying to say, it's not because those guys screwed up. It's exactly because those guys screwed up, as well as Jonathan Majors. But there you go. Apparently the script was going to have another Deadpool and Wolverine team up, which is still going to happen anyway. All the Spider-Man back, including Miles Morales, and even Moon Knight was going to be in there. So if you want to actually see that full script that they have, it's on Reddit. You can go to Reddit and download it off of there. It's from the guys called Leaks and Rumors, and it has Avengers the Kang Dynasty early draft script. So you can go there and download it and have a look at it if you want to yourself. But that's what was happening so far with that all these Kangs were going to be there and all this crap and Moon Knight and whatnot. So yeah, the movie that was meant to be but will never be. So with that, I shall leave it there for this one. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.